This could well be my favorite box of the entirety of Wave 3, and that is a bold claim considering we've already looked at the Star Wars 2 box, but there is one item in particular that really sells this one for me, and it won't be the one you think it is. How about that for a tease? Anyways, all items that we look at today will be going up for sale on my eBay shop starting the 25th, May 25th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be ready to buy whatever I think is truly special. Anyways, let's get on with it, shall we? Alright. Can I get a clean cut this time? Oh yeah. Is that a first? Sides. Oh, couldn't quite get this side. Is tape on the side of a box annoying or what? Oh. Alright. Quite a rigid box here. This one doesn't seem to want to open too easily. Guess that's a good thing, though. That means these items will be extra protected. Okay. Off to the side, we have a plastic bag that's only covering half of the box in this case, which means that the other half must not be all that important or does not require it. Okay. Let's start with a sample, a returning sample, the bad piggy bank. This is identical to the one that we looked at in Wave 1. This is not the counterfeit, this is the Commonwealth, so, this is the Commonwealth collection after all, not the PPW collection, which is also an official piece of merchandise, but it doesn't look nearly as good as this guy. That thing looks kind of like a peanut in some of the photos I've seen, but the thing is kind of cool. It's got the $sign on the side. This one does not have the $sign or the star. This is an earlier prototype before they settled on which symbol they wanted to put on the side. So it's got the Commonwealth touch tag, copyright 2010 HK12. Because it's like the one that we saw in Wave 1, this one has the white plastic stopper on the bottom. It's on the inside anyway, so this thing has a fairly hollow interior, but it is stuffed on the outside because, well, it is a plush after all. It's got to be soft. Interestingly, it has some tape and some staples on the inside. If you buy the item, you'll, I guess, get to see that. Unless I can take a good photo of it, which, if I get a good photo of it, I'll put it on the screen right now. Anywho, the bad piggy bank. What an adorable little plush with great detail and great accuracy to the game as well, all things considered, despite it missing a symbol on the side. But make up your own symbol. Print out a little piece of paper and put it on the side. That, or get some professional embroidery done on him to look like how it should. Anyways, bad piggy bank. Look at that face. So adorable. It's got this little tail around back, kind of like the Go King Pig that we looked at last time. Bad piggy bank. One of my favorite plushies. One of my favorite samples that Commonwealth ever made. Wish more people were into him, but I guess they don't like the fact that he doesn't have a symbol. Screw that. Who needs a symbol? He can just be a bad piggy amongst the rest. He'll fit in a little bit nicer, actually. Anyway. Moving on. We have what appears to be a Finnish release, a Rovio import of Super Space Red. This one actually gives off a little bit of good stuff vibes for some reason, but it's just a Rovio import, which, when we say Rovio import, we're referring to a plush that was either sold in an Angry Birds shop or shopped at angrybirds.com, which sometimes would ship consumers these, regardless of what country they were in. So it will always have this imported by Rovio Entertainment additional sewn-in label on the back, which has the washing instructions on it, right? So it'll also say the style number and the production code. This is a third generation, of course. Most space plushies are. So this will not have a sound chip because Rovio was greatly opposed to the sound chip for whatever reason. They insisted that all the plushies sold on the website and in the official Angry Bird retailers to not have them. So it also has an additional hang tag as well, which states the same information. Got the washing instructions, which, let's see, I'll read that out. Gently hand wash separately using warm soapy water for 2 minutes. Do not twist or wring. Rinse thoroughly with clean water. Hang to dry. When completely dry, fluff back to shape. Wonder if Commonwealth wrote that or someone with Rovio did. Maybe I'll find out one day. And then these will not have a barcode either. No barcode on the hang tag, so that's how you know. This one probably wasn't sold in stores. This was probably meant to be sold online. Hence, no barcode. So, I don't know. Super Space Red, fully tagged. If you're into the Rovio imports, there's that one. Alright. What do we got next? Let me see. I want to go in size order if I can here. We have another Rovio import. This one is minty in its bag. This is, of course, a Firebomb. So it's got the same specs as the red. It is also a C12, so that is March 2012. That's when it was made. Probably sold mid-2012. Got no sound chip. So I don't know why the red isn't in a bag. It probably should be. But this one is, so when you buy this, you'll essentially be emulating the Angry Birds shop through the Commonwealth collection, I guess. Space plushies have really cool designs, as they are based off the superhero designs of the characters that they created for Angry Birds Space. And got a minty Firebomb with his flame still. Perfect. Alright. Firebomb. Alright. Got any other Rovio imports in here? I think this Chuck might be one. Yes. This is a laser Chuck. This is an 8-inch laser Chuck. Also a Rovio import. Also in the factory sealed plastic bag. It's got all the... What's the bag gonna say? Plastic bags can be dangerous. To avoid danger of suffocation, keep this bag away from babies and children. No, I was totally planning to take the plush out of the bag and use the bag to suffocate my child. That was exactly what I was gonna do with this. Dang it. Come on. I was so ready for this moment, man. A shame. Anywho, I guess the laser Chuck is kind of cool, too. It's also from March 2012. Let's find out. Can we? I can see the touch tag. Yep, C12. Nice laser Chuck. Plenty of Rovio import space plushies. But our streak ends right here. Here is another Firebomb, but this one, no, it is not a Rovio import. This one is a US release with its sound chip and all. Wow, that's a pleasant surprise. Still works too. Put it up to the mic so you can hear it. Listen to this beautiful sound chip in all of its glory. You just never get to hear that these days. Document that one for you. So it's perfect condition, US release of the 8-inch Firebomb. You can see his beautiful wick up here, flaming and all. His cape going around makes him look like the planet Saturn. He's even got the golden asteroid embroidered up front. Great looking plush. Tags are in perfect shape. What was this one made? This one was made A12, so this is probably a really early one, HK86. The earliest space plushies date back to December of 2011. Those were done up for the Walmart promo. Those ones did not have sound chips, but those did get the golden asteroid tag. This one does not, but still a really early one. So that's really cool. Mint condition, Firebomb with sound. And I can actually say with sound for once on the listing. You have a few more that are like that here too. Yeah, here's a US release Laser Chuck. It's almost identical to the bomb, but this one is not from the same production run. That bomb was an A12, so that's January 2012. This Chuck is a D12, but it's probably released for the same purpose. It's virtually identical otherwise. So Laser Chuck, he's got that nice lavender color. He's got these really cool shades up front. This very neat vinyl cape going all the way around. 3rd gen, of course. Okay, so the big question is, does the sound still work? Oh, it's perfect as well. How about that? 2 for 2. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but, you know, they're minty. I want to experience it, okay? And you do as well. Fairly certain. I mean, like I said last time, it is nice to just have the press here tag up here, but it is such a bonus when you can actually get the sound to work, and hopefully you can preserve it for me. So there you go. US release, Laser Chuck. And we have another Royo import. I guess this one slipped through the cracks. Here is a Firebomb, 5-inch, in the bag. It's also a C12. So yet again, a plastic bag, my favorite accessory, that you can use to suffocate your children. Which, I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. I'm gonna get demonetized for this one. Anyways, another Firebomb, this one in 5-inch. So if you're a 5-inch range collector, you know, you might prefer one over the other. I guess we have all options here. Okay, and then we also have an Icebird. So this is clearly an Angry Birds Space theme box so far. Does this sound chip work? How about that? 3 for 3. Perfectly working, perfectly functioning sound chips. And of course, Icebird is quite the great plush. This one appears to be a bit dirty on the beak. That's fine though, it looks cleanable. It's not mold or anything. It's probably dust from sitting in a box for over a decade. Icebird's got, of course, the cube shape, the light blue, the matte fur, which the matte fur fits a character like Icebird because he's supposed to be all nice and smooth. And he is from the same production run as that Chuck, so he is a D12 HK98. D12 is April 2012. Perfect condition, all the tags are in great shape. And then a lot of the earlier Icebirds as well. I think if you have an earlier Icebird from 3rd gen, you'll notice this. They tend to have orange beaks, kind of like the early prototypes of the classic set. I think a lot of the early Space plushies do tend to have orange beaks. I have no idea why that happened, but later releases, especially the 4th gen ones, will not have that. There you go. Icebird, almost the whole Space flock. We're missing Terrence and we're missing Blue, which tend to be the more uncommon of the two anyways, which is kind of peculiar in some ways, but... Anyways. Next up, we have a deviation from space, and it's the almighty one. It is, of course, the greatest plush ever made. Construction Hat Pig. Oh my god, he's... Okay, this trope is getting quite old at this point. I did not know the can of worms I was opening when I uttered those words back in 2018, but here we are. And speaking of 2018, there were a lot of collectors back then, back in the old days of the Angry Bird plush collecting community, that found this plush to be largely interesting because, well, it is just a minion pig with a cruddy felt hat that cracks too easily if you even so much as breathe on it, but, I mean, how can you not like this little goofy goober? Look at that face. It's just so innocent, this little hard hat that he's got. He actually thinks this will protect him from projectile birds. And interestingly, I've noticed on these construction hat pigs, their hat placement seems to vary depending on their release. And even within their releases, they tend to vary as well. So this one, I mean, let's compare it to the one I got off Toy Wiz in 2018. So, my personal construction hat pig, he has a tilted hard hat, like this, which I think is an even better look because it makes him look even more stupid, which is what you want from a pig like this. Pigs are supposed to be the dumbest creatures in the world of Angry Birds, right? And Construction Hat Pig epitomizes that. Look at him. So I find the ones that look like this to be a bit inferior. Just doesn't look quite right to me, but I guess this is more of the traditional look for the plush, and this one's fairly proper. You can almost see both of his eyebrows, the way his hat's positioned. So this guy is a G11 HK79. Most accessorized pigs will be from this G11 production run. That's your chef pigs, your postman pigs, your cowboy pig. And for the accessorized pigs, they would make them up through 2012. It's not completely through 2012, but they did some production runs for The UK, that was H11, and they did some later production runs for Finland and Estonia, as I've learned. Those were early 2012. Those tend to be C12, which is March 2012. But after that, the accessorized pigs would be discontinued up until the Sallow Toys kerfuffle, which we'll touch on more in the future. But, of course, the original Construction Hat Pig would disappear forever, which makes him and Cowboy Hat Pig incredibly rare these days, and especially after my little incident in 2018, which has brought the character's popularity to new heights, which is always a good thing, but then again, his prices on eBay these days tend to be a bit ludicrous, even for the greatest plush of all time, in my completely non-biased opinion. Anyways, here's another chance, another bite at the apple, Construction Hat Pig appearing once again. And he will not be the only one showing up in this very box, because we have a second one. And this one is arguably in even better condition, because he's got the hang tag, right? So the hat placement on this one is a little bit different. This one you can actually see both of his eyebrows. From the same production run though, so even within this G11 production run, there tends to be some variations, which speaks to what I said about the accessorized pigs. This one, his eyes look a little bit either sun faded or fluorescent light faded, something like that, so use some cleaning solution on that if you can. He's also got a little bit of a blue gash on the back. It's not, I guess, gash isn't the right word, it's more of a stain. I don't know if you can see that. But otherwise, perfect condition, really. About as nice shape as a Construction Hat Pig will get nowadays. Usually you'll find the hat cracked or, something wrong with it. The hat loose, the hat not even there, the hat by itself in some cases. That'd actually be quite bizarre. I don't think I've quite seen that, but I've seen plenty of Construction Hat Pigs over the years, and this is certainly not the worst one. So there you go. 2 of the, oh my god, he's real boys. So as it turns out, this box isn't just space themed, but we have some classic items in here as well, which I believe this next item, or rather box, feeds into that narrative. This is the infamous 92237A Angry Birds Backpack Clip Plush assortment on cardboard backer. For those of you who have no idea what the hell that is, this is the most desirable assortment of backpack clips Commonwealth ever released. It is incredibly rare. It is limited to 2,670 pieces, but feels even more rare than that, honestly. That actually is quite the large number, but the contents of this very box, which this is a store case, so this is what a retailer would have got back then. This is what was a factory sealed box of 2012 backpack clips. And the mix in the Mix A box is particularly desirable because it has a few characters in here, one in particular that a lot of people lust after. Okay, here's the mix. A few of the characters in here are extremely desirable. We have Hal, Stella, Blue from Angry Birds Rio, of course, Bubbles. We have Firebomb, Icebird, Laser Chuck, Super Red. We have the updated design of Blue, Red, and the updated design of Chuck. So, amongst the backpack clips released in the United States on a cardboard backer, Stella, Bubbles, I believe all the space ones, really, on a cardboard backer, the updated Blue and Chuck are extremely rare. They almost never, ever show up on eBay. And I've been collecting for well over a decade at this point. So, if anyone can tell you this information, it's me, okay? Let's take a look at a few of these. I'll pull them out. So we start with the Stella backpack clip. This one was also released in Finland with a side tag, but the only way to get it on a cardboard backer is to get the 2012 Mix A US release. As far as I know anyways, I think, actually now as I recall, there might be a Canadian version. I'll put that on screen if I find the picture, but there might be a Canadian version, which also might mean there's a Canadian version of Bubbles, but I've never seen that, and we'll get to Bubbles anyways, but here's the Stella backpack clip, and no, this is not the Angry Birds Stella backpack clip. This is the classic Stella backpack clip with the side-eye facial expression. And these are all from HK85, I12. That's your production information. they will generally have that information, so if you're looking for authenticity, look for that. I think there's also some stray H12s out there as well. I don't know what the Canadian version would look like, but US ones look like that. She has like almost 2D tail feathers, which is kind of funny. It's 2D head feathers as well. Great looking backpack clip though, and one that you rarely if ever see. But I'm not sure this one is particularly desirable because, well, I mean, it is just a tiny Stella, and I don't generally find that there's a lot of collectors out there who are saying, Stella, yes, she's a must-have plush, especially her backpack clip. Man, I need this one. No, I've never heard anyone say that. Hal, well, Hal's a different story. A lot of people like Hal the character, at least way more than Stella from what I've seen, so his backpack clip tends to be quite a bit popular, at least a bit more popular, but this one isn't tremendously rare, at least it is outside of North America because there is a Canadian version and there's the US release, and the US release isn't all that common because it was also released as a Gen 2, I believe. So whatever mix of backpack clips were sold in Gen 2, Hal was in there. But of course, the most desirable backpack clip perhaps ever released is the Bubbles backpack clip. For those who like to scale their flock, you need this guy, because this is the smallest Bubbles that Commonwealth ever made. And canonically, of course, Bubbles is the smallest Angry Bird in the flock, right? So here he is, mint on the card. And if you buy him, please don't take the clip off. I mean, I know it's probably tempting so he doesn't look completely awkward next to your perfectly scaled flock, but I mean, come on, there's only so many of these in the world, right? There's officially only, what's the number, 2,670 of these. Awfully specific number. How do they come to that one? I don't know. But super cool looking backpack clip, and quite fitting for a character as small as Bubbles, right? Very adorable. Great plush. Put him there. So these are the... these are like the three, the trio, right, of kind of extra birds. I guess you can throw Terrence in there as well, but these are like your Wave 2 backpack clips, which Stella and Bubbles first appeared here, interestingly. Terrence and Hal were released on earlier mixes. Anyways, here is the blue backpack clip. This one isn't tremendously rare, but he appears in this mix as well. And you've also got Icebird. You've got Super Space Red. And here's what I mean about the Lightning Blue and the Incredible / Monster Terrence being the rarer characters generally in the space set, even the backpack clip set. You don't get them in this mix at all. So the Space Terrence and the Space Blue were not released on a cardboard backer in the United States. I know the Blue was released in Russia for the 2014 release, and I've seen one stray photo of the Terrence, but he's not in here. So here are all four of the space backpack clips you do get, though. Of course, a few of them are probably more desirable than others. I know Icebird tends to be a fan favorite, so maybe go after him, but I'm just telling you this right now. All of these on a cardboard backer as opposed to a hang tag are extremely rare, and I believe they are only available in this mix. I don't know what the Mix B looks like, though, so they might come in there, too. I don't know what that assortment looks like. And then we have the Bomb backpack clip. Probably one of the more common characters in this assortment, right? It was released on a Gen 2, Gen 3, and, of course, Gen 4 card. So this is the Mix A version, so I guess it's special for that reason alone. Kinda. Anyways, here is your update design of Chuck, which by token means you get the update design of Blue as well. And a lot of people will prefer these two for their game-accurate look, though at the same time, a lot of people will still prefer the originals for their nostalgia appeal and their dead stare, which is awfully quirky and all, but for game accuracy's sake, you're going to want these two. And this is the only way you can get them on a card as far as I'm aware. I believe the European releases, including the UK and Finland, those only came with a hang tag. There's the updated designs. You get the two tail feathers on Blue. You get the complete underbelly for Chuck. And speaking of oddball releases, I believe the finished release only came with a color match clip, so if you're looking for this blue backpack clip, the updated design with a blue clip, go for the finished release, though it is quite rare, just like the carded US release. But I've never seen that on Chuck, so I'm not sure the updated design Chuck exists with a color matched yellow clip, because I've never seen the finished release, but here's the US release on card. And then of course we have Red, who is objectively the least exciting and most common character in here, but still a cool backpack clip, Mix A, all that. So here is the partially complete classic flock that you get with the Mix A assortment. You do not get Terrence and you do not get Matilda. I'm not sure Matilda got a Gen 4 release in the United States, at least on a card, as far as I know. And Terrence, I'm pretty sure he's included in the Mix B. I don't know what the Mix B looks like. Can't remember off the top of my head. I'm fairly certain I've seen it, but I don't have a photo for reference, so if I find a photo, I'll put it on screen, but probably not. So you don't get Terrence and you don't get Matilda, but you do get Hal, Stella, and Bubbles, which, of course, is a good consolation prize. And you get Blue from Rio for some reason. That feels like a random inclusion, but he's in here, I guess. So that must mean that Jewel must be in Mix B. If she's not, I don't know. Where does the Jewel backpack clip reside? That's odd. Anyways, give me a minute to clean all this stuff up, make a little cut. I mean, it'll be no time for you, but I need a minute, clean all this stuff up, put it off to the side, and then we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, and we're back. And the next item is another sealed store case, or at least it was sealed until I got my mitts on it. Whoops. Anyways, this is an assortment that we looked at quite extensively last time, as I recall. This is style number 92049. 5-inch Angry Birds Girls assortment with sound. 6 pieces. This is number 2178 out of 6672. Once again, an awfully specific number. Made in China, HK86. So if you recall from last time, this is the alternate Valentine's assortment, which omits Cupid Pig. So you get 2 of each of the others, right? You get 2 of the Valentine's Matilda, 2 of the Girl Bird, and 2 of the Bo Pig. And if you do the math on the case itself, you will find out that there's approximately 13,000 of each one of these characters. Specifically the HK86 J11 variants. These are J11, so these were made for, well, Valentine's Day, it seems, but no Cupid Pig in this mix. So let's take a look. We have the female Red, the Girl Bird. We have the ever so confounding Valentine's Matilda, Matilda's true soulmate. And of course you have the imposter of the bunch, the King Pig cosplaying as Bo Pig. Bo Pig in the game clearly looks like a regular Minion Pig. Commonwealth used the King Pig pattern on the Bo Pig, so, you know, take that for what you will, but I like to think it's King Pig wearing a bow, trying to get in cozy with some of his pigs. Pigs are asexual anyways, right? I don't know. I'm not one to commentate on that. I don't believe their sound works, despite being in a sealed case forever. If it did, it doesn't now. It's, barely audible. Quite faint. So there you go. You get those 3, and, there's another 3 inside the box. But anyways, go ahead and put them back in. See how quickly I can do this. So I'll make 2 of each available on the eBay shop. We're all in perfect condition. They should all be the same, but wouldn't surprise me if the case was tampered with at some point. Maybe resealed. Anyway. Alright, get this box out of here. Okay, this next item is another box, but at least this time the box is actually a part of the item itself. This is, of course, the Angry Birds Bird Toss, put together by some Commonwealth toy designer back in 2010 and released in 2011. This is the first variation of the game, the first ever look it ever took on. It's the backside. Always found it funny how they use the prototype designs of the beanbags, and even include Blue, who does not come in the game, funnily enough, or at least this variant. Instead, you get Red, you get Chuck, and you get Bomb. And of course, you get the very nice wooden board. I'm glad that's not plastic. That'd be the cheap way out, but Commonwealth went the high road on this one, and it's got a very neat little design to it. A wooden backboard, of course, has to have some wooden prints on it. It's got all sorts of explosions, and it's got a bunch of sprites of the pigs, Commonwealth app toys. Angry Birds is a registered trademark of Rovio Mobile. All rights reserved. And I do find it charming how the top point total is 5,000 points. That's very true to the game. The concept of the game itself is also very true as well, because, well, the birds are projectiles after all, so this is quite fitting. And we do have 2 of these. There's also a sticker on the back that says Cardinal Industries. This product is CARB, lot date May 1st, 2012. So was this the 2012 release, or at least when they shipped it out of China was May 2012? I'm not entirely sure. This should be the first ever variant of the game released in 2011. I don't know. But anyways, we have 2 of them. Even got the little red beanbag on the side. This bird toss. Very nice. Box is pretty cool. I recommend keeping it in there, but I wouldn't blame you if you opened it. Just be careful and try and preserve the box, right? Okay, and the last item of today's unboxing is the one that I alluded to at the start. It is a deflated red. Oh, hold on. Before I get to that, it seems he was hiding 2 Rovio import Super Space Reds in the factory sealed bag. There's that, I guess. But back to this guy. What on earth is this? Is it like a giant piece of corn? The number 3? Or something. And then you've got 2 of something here. Is it a... It's a skin. It's a hollow skin. Okay, I'm playing dumb here if you can't tell. Let me cut real quick and we'll be right back. And I'll show you exactly what this item is. This could well be the highlight of Wave 3. This is without a doubt one of the most peculiar, one of the most interesting, and certainly one of the most enormous pieces of Angry Bird merchandise you could possibly own. This is the 36-inch Red Plush. Yes, this thing exists, and indeed, Commonwealth made plushies larger than 16-inch, which I know will come as a surprise to many. This is actually the second biggest plush that they ever made, second to only the 48-inch Red, which also exists, but that's a story for another day. And there are good stuff one-offs that are even bigger than that, but this guy is a full-fledged retail. Yes, you could walk into a retail store and pick up a 36-inch Red Plush. Though I doubt you've ever seen it before. In fact, according to my documentation, there has never been a single sold listing of this guy in the history of the internet. So ours will be the first. He doesn't quite take up the entire display table here, but he takes up quite a chunk of it. So what makes this Red Plush different than your run-of-the-mill 5-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch, or 16-inch? Well, let's start with his eyes and his eyebrows. So if you can hear that, that is the sound of felt. So apparently, embroidery is quite difficult to do at this scale. They could do the exterior here, but they couldn't do the interior like they did on the smaller scales. So be careful of sun damage, especially with the eyes. The white here, this is the same material they used on the pig plushies. These are the Minion Pigs, the King Pigs, Chuck, Matilda, all those types of characters. So prone to sun damage, don't keep this guy in the sun. But I'm assuming if you buy this guy, you're probably a big time collector anyways, and you probably know that. And then around back over here, we have this slit. This slit was not originally on the plush. So Commonwealth opened this guy up and took out all the stuffing, or actually beans in this case, because this guy would not be suitable for stuffing. You need to put beans inside because it would be tremendously heavy if you did stuff it. Now in our case right now, just to fill him out, we did put pillows and blankets in him, but he is tremendously heavy to go with his enormous size. Not exactly ideal, so get some styrofoam pellets, some beanbag pellets, whatever you want, buy it in bulk, fill the guy up, restore him. And then you can sew him back up in the back if you want, but I don't recommend that in case you ever do need to transport it, because this thing would be tremendously expensive to ship as well, which is why we're going to ship it as a skin. We will not be providing the pellets or the stuffing. If you want to stuff it, you can if you don't plan to move it very much, but I think it was originally sold with beans inside, so if you want to be original, do that. There are areas of the plush that are still stuffed. You can see up here the head feathers are still stuffed like a conventional plush toy would be. And that remains because that's a separate piece that's just stitched to the body. You have his beak up front, of course. You don't want to put beans in there, right? That needs a defined shape. Check that out. Big lump of corn up front. And then he has his tail back here, which that's also stitched to the body. And underneath his tail, he has a tush tag. This is a second generation. He is a HK12. No production code, so this could well be a sample, but it's not any different than what they did sell at retail. Let's check out the other side of that tag. Over here. So as you can see, Angry Birds, black text, white tag. Second generation, so this guy is probably from mid-2011, have to assume. So this is not the only character, though, that was made in 36-inch. There was also a Luke Skywalker and a Darth Vader. There was even a famous photo of the Luke Skywalker in a retail store, which proves that they were sold at retail. But these were probably used for promotional purposes as well. I don't know how many countries they were sold in, but this one, whether it's a sample or not, is from the United States. So, tremendously cool plush, and let's go over here. Let's actually compare real quick. So down here, we have, this is your run-of-the-mill, this is a first-gen red. Not a true Gen 1, but pretty close to. There he is. Right? And then this big guy. Let's try and get right here. There you go. That's scale for you. He's not even as big as one of his eyes. That is what the kids say quite wild. And you can see here, his eyes are fully embroidered. His eyes are mostly felt, with only embroidery as the accents. This guy does not have a sound chip. Of course not. There's nothing in here when he is completely unstuffed. And he looks quite funny as just the skin. But he is tremendously soft, of course. He has fluffy fur. It's probably not shaggy enough where it can be compared to the 5-inch, but it's suitable for a beanbag type. And I think that's what this guy was originally meant to be, just a giant beanbag instead of a plush, but it's got the same pattern as the plush toy, basically, besides the eyes, of course. So there you go. I have no idea how much he will cost. You'll have to find out, and he will be tremendously expensive to ship as well, even in his unstuffed state, because even unstuffed, he is quite massive. This is one of the coolest pieces of merchandise I have ever been in the presence of. I never saw this thing as a kid. There was no specialty store around me that had this guy. Though I can picture him in some giant Toys R Us or something like that, hanging from the ceilings. You can picture those fishing lines just draped down, hanging from the ceiling and all that. Wow. So incredibly cool. So please, give this guy a home, along with all the rest of the items that we've looked at today. Going up for sale May 25th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any comments, questions, or complaints, you can let me know in the comment section below. And with that I say, peace out.